Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
What's the worst country to vacation to right now? Haiti. Near complete anarchy and ruled by roving rival gangs. Sounds great. Tortuga. We could be pirates. I hear that walled-off corner owned by Royal Caribbean is lovely right now. Just don't make eye contact with the starving children sticking their arms through the fences whenever the armed guards aren't nearby. I don't understand the point of even vacationing there if the rest of the country is so dangerous you literally can't leave the resort compound to see any of it. What are guests getting out of the experience that they couldn't get in any other all-inclusive beach resort in a safer Caribbean country? If all you're trying to do is lounge around a tropical beach pool for a week, just go to a Sandals in the Bahamas or something. Hell, if you're American you don't even need to leave the country. Plenty of places in Florida and Hawaii fit the bill. Royal Caribbean's not even going there anymore because of the security situation. That thing is pretty beautiful too. My Haitian roommate has an aunt that got kidnapped and actually escaped to that enclave and was rescued. Any country officially at war. Even if it's safe in certain areas, it's always risk if the airport is shut down. One that doesn't fit that description yet would be my number one is Haiti. By all reports, it's a gangland. I had expectations before looking at the comments and those expectations were fulfilled. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that Haiti, Somalia, Ukraine, etc. are no-go zones. Personally, I'm curious to hear about unexpected countries, i.e., places that under normal circumstances would be on someone's travel radar, but for one reason or another are not advisable to visit right now. I'll give an example: Ecuador. Beautiful beaches, gorgeous mountains, and quaint colonial towns. But in the last year the gang violence has spiraled to unimaginable levels, and unless you have specific knowledge of certain locales, or have made extraordinary precautions for your safety, it's simply not a safe place to go for the time being. Any examples like that come to mind? Saudi Arabia. I spent 2 years there and it was fucking terrible. On average, the Saudi I encountered were some of the most arrogant people I've ever met. Like, superiority complex times infinity. And it's embedded in their whole culture. Not to mention all the other atrocities. But what really gets me, 40% of their population are foreigners, their main workforce. They will let them work in Saudi Arabia for generations, but their kids will not be granted citizenship. So say your parents are from Pakistan, but you were born and raised in Saudi, and even started your own family and kids. If you lose your work sponsorship you'll be deported to Pakistan, a country you never knew. That's fucked. I've spent 3 years in Qatar. 100% the same. Was funny actually. I once took a flight from Amsterdam to Doha, and the people in front of me in line at check-in were Qatari. She demanded special treatment at check-in. When the airport employee looked a bit weird she kinda uttered, but, I'm Qatari. Quote, "You gotta love Dutch directness." The employee literally said, "Yeah, that doesn't mean shit around here. You wait with everyone else, welcome to Amsterdam." Quote, "Had a bunch of friends go to a music festival and then get stuck in Ecuador for a little bit right in January because of those riots. I felt a little weird choosing not to go at the time because of the more and more tense situation over there, but I didn't expect full-on riots to pop off while they were on vacation." Never leave the hotel in Egypt as an underage girl without your parents. Even if you're with them you probably will be followed and hit on by older creeps, but they won't do anything when you're not alone. Yay, we've been to Egypt a few times while staying in a resort. My, then, 14-year-old sister had guys from the stores inside of the hotel hitting on her and wanting to marry her. Like they were actually trying, with asking many questions and trying to learn our language. Just creepy. Then outside of the hotel it's much worse, so we didn't go out that much. Ah yes, just what a vacationing 14-year-old girl wants: some ugly broke sweaty Egyptian man as a husband, and to instantly relocate to a shit country. Fully agree. When I was 13 we did a family holiday there and were in a hotel resort. I never even left the resort. I couldn't count the amount of old man hitting on me. One of the actually kissed me on the lips, disgusting, when my parents weren't around. I didn't want to ruin a holiday so I didn't say anything, but he must have been 45/50ths. That's so awful. I'm so sorry. I hope it doesn't bother you a lot. Gotta be Somalia. I don't think the US State Department has as stern of language about any other country. It basically sums up to, prepare your will and discuss it with your family because you'll most likely be kidnapped and murdered. Other places wouldn't be fun, but I'd survive. North Korea, assuming you get a tourist visa and entry into the country, you'll be kept strictly in the tourist areas and only shown what they want you to see. Ukraine, I'd steer clear of Donetsk and Luhansk, but I'd probably be fine in Kyiv and other western cities. Some select warnings from the State Department regarding what you should do before you travel to Somalia. Draft a will and designate appropriate insurance beneficiaries and/or power of attorney. Discuss a plan with loved ones regarding care, custody of children, pets, property, belongings, non-liquid assets, collections, artwork, etc. Funeral wishes, etc. Share important documents, login information, and points of contact with loved ones so that they can manage your affairs if you are unable to return as planned to the United States. Find a suggested list of such documents here. Be sure to appoint one family member to serve as the point of contact with hostage takers, media, U.S. and host country government agencies, and members of Congress if you are taken hostage or detained. Establish a proof of life protocol with your loved ones, so that if you are taken hostage, your loved ones can know specific questions and answers to ask the hostage takers to be sure that you are alive, and to rule out a hoax. Leave DNA samples with your medical provider in case it is necessary for your family to access them. Fuck holidaying anywhere if the first 3 words of official travel advice are, draft a will. There are hotels in Mogadishu for foreigners that have business in the country. Those hotels have high walls and are patrolled by armed guards. Despite those security measures, hotels still warn visitors they cannot guarantee visitors' safety because there have been cases of armed militia getting past the walls then robbing or kidnapping visitors before the guards can stop them. Mogadishu is truly a hellish place on earth. Independent travel to Mogadishu will most likely result in your death. Myanmar would be pretty terrible right now. I lived there for 3 years and happened to leave just months before the coup. I consider myself incredibly lucky that I happened to get the opportunity to be there in the very brief window between the elected government gaining control and the military taking it back. It was a beautiful place with wonderful people, and my heart aches every day over what happened and continues to develop. Absolutely brutal. The country was changing for the better so fast, even in the few years I was there. My friend was in America trying to get information if his family was okay after the government executed the farmers of certain regions. It was the same day Britney Spears shaved her head, so even CNN went 24-hour Britney coverage. He watched the news scroll at the bottom for hours with no coverage. Western powers have largely remained out of the conflict. China and Russia have been arming the Tatmadaw, and neighboring India and Bangladesh both recognize the military junta. New Zealand pushed ASEAN to resume relations with the Tatmadaw and invited him to the Wellington summit this year. The only nation that has recognized the National Unity Government is East Timor. Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, and Singapore oppose the junta, but have not assisted the National Unity Government and still recognize the Tatmadaw as the government. Every time these threads come up, the answers are failed states like Somalia and Haiti, countries at war like Ukraine, Egypt. Why the hell is Egypt just permanently horrible to tourists? Rapey attitude of its citizens, and mob begging from male visitors. I don't think such are in particular danger of being raped, but they will be harassed by people wanting a handout. My co-worker from Egypt has repeatedly warned us not to visit it. Sparkles misogyny sparkles. Sees tourists as walking ATMs. I'll never forget the time I, an American, was in Tanzania and trying to arrange passage to Madagascar via a shipping vessel. I met someone who knew someone who knew someone who could get me on the ship for very cheap. Eventually, the captain told me he would grant me passage, but warned me that if pirates boarded their ship, they would likely take me with them and hold me hostage. I didn't fully trust that the captain wouldn't sell me to the pirates, haha, so I never did make that trip. Amsterdam was a nice alternative though. Even if captain were 100% good people, you listen to your gut instinct. Better to slightly offend someone they won't remember an hour later, than to be stuck in a prison cell, or worse. Edit, meant to say, sell, and not, sail, but I'm keeping it for the lulz. Well, that story was a wild ride. Glad you made the smart choice. Niger, or actually all of the countries in the Coup Belt of Africa. I can assure you there's little to see in Niger as a tourist. But I don't disagree with your overall presence. There is a ton of insecurity outside of the major cities, Niamey, Zinda, Maradi, Agadez. My Venezuelan friends tell me, Venezuela. Venezuelan here, my VZ passport expired years ago. There isn't an embassy to get it renewed in the US. If I tried to go with my US passport they could hold me hostage since technically I'm a Venezuelan national. Won't be going back anytime soon, but I do miss my country and my family heartbreak. My co-worker got their VZ passport renewed in Canada, might be an option if you want it back. https://www.reddit.com/r/venezuela/s/idwaive. My dad's Venezuelan co-worker told him never to go there because their favorite national pastime was kidnapping gringos and holding them for ransom. When my dad asked what happened if you weren't worth anything, the guy told him that his life wouldn't be worth anything either, maybe the price of a bullet. They kidnap wealthy Venezuelans too. I'm from DC, and when Wilson Ramos was a catcher on our MLB team, he went home to Venezuela for the off-season and got kidnapped for ransom. He was held for a few months, but he was free of them by the time spring training rolled around. I'm not sure if the ransom was paid or if there was police involvement that got him freed. At the time, there was a lot of interest in his case. As a Venezuelan living in Venezuela, I can tell you this: nobody speaks worse of Venezuela than us. Yes, things are absolutely terrible around here, but my paisanos living abroad tend to exaggerate a lot, and I don't understand why, as the reality of our country is bad enough. Probably because the people who are willing to give up friends and family and start a life abroad are the ones that had it worst.